Welcome to the Speak with People podcast. My name is Jason Raitz. I'll be your host, and this podcast exists to help you improve your communication skills. Whether you communicate one-on-one, to a team, from a stage, or from behind a screen, we know that when we improve our communication skills as leaders, it exponentially changes everything. It improves our relationships, it improves our leadership skills, and it improves our business skills. So let's get ready to dive into this next episode. Today, I'm so excited because we are diving into the world of online communication. How do we communicate with people through emails, through, our writing? How do we get people to respond? I'm thrilled, beyond thrilled, to interview just an absolute guru of email marketing. Her name is Liz Wilcox. She's incredible. She's been on over 300 podcasts. She was recently on the Pat Flynn show, which was awesome. And just a killer interview. I got to meet her in person last month, and her talk just really inspired me at a conference that I was at and kind of got me like moving to do some things. And so she'll share some of her expertise, how to engage with people. She's a seasoned marketer. I could go on and on, but I am just so excited to have Liz Wilcox on the podcast. Liz, welcome to the Speak with People podcast.
Oh my gosh. Hey, friends. I am so excited, and I love the speaking with people and not at them, because that's what I teach too. So I couldn't be more excited to be here today. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. Sorry if this feels like a little bit much, but even that I've, signed on with your emails and I get them, you exemplify it so incredibly well. Just what you said about speaking with people. Like, I know we just met a month ago, only had a few conversations. Reading your emails, I'm like, I know Liz. It's just amazing how you come across that genuine. And so I've just been blown away.
Well, let's talk about it, because I think everyone has the capability of coming across as their true self, which, as you know, in communications, when you're just yourself, when you're just, really just being authentic, wanting to talk with the right people, like that comes across, and, you get more results, right?
Absolutely. Before we hop into the conversation, could you give us just a little bit more of your story, who you are, what you do, where you're from, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So if you're listening, I'm probably kind of the opposite of you, but I did start out as a professional. I just didn't make it very far. I realized I didn't like a uniform. I didn't like people telling me what to do. I didn't like a boss. So I actually have a background in leadership. I have a master's degree in leadership. I wanted to, own my own school one day, and, I was going to change the world with education. And I think I still am doing that, just in a very different way now. And my last job, was when I was interning, when I was in my master's degree. I actually worked at a gas station. And I said, you know what? I think I can do better than this. I think I can figure it out. And so I started an online business. You Google how to make money online, and everybody and their mother tells you to start a blog, right? And, oh, you'll make about $100,000 in the first 6 months or whatever. I was like, what? I grew up really poor. Before we hit record, Jason and I were talking about, both being from the Detroit area. So if you've ever heard of Detroit, you can imagine the kind of upbringing I was having, and, who my mother was. So anyway, I started this blog. Of course, I was really naive. I didn't make a ton of money right off the bat, like those webinars promised me. But I did hear this thing about email marketing and how email marketing was the way to go. It was the highest ROI, return on investment, right? For every dollar you spend with email, you can expect to get $40 in return. And, coming from the poorhouse, I thought, what? I throw them $1, they spit out 40. What is this magic? I've never heard of such a thing. And so I started emailing. I got really, really good at it, and I got to see a lot of results. And I was doing an RV travel blog. And, I did the thing everybody tells you to do, create a digital course, right? So I created a digital course. I asked people, do you want this thing? And I had 141 people say, yeah, if you create that, I'll buy it. And I did a typical Monday through Friday open close cart a few months later, after creating the course, and I made 141 sales.
Huh.
Yeah. So if you know anything about business, normally not everybody that walks in the door of your office is
Wow.
gonna be the client, right? Or is gonna even like buy the merchandise, right? So that's when I knew I had something that other people didn't. And that's actually when I sold that blog, a few months later and went all in on this email marketing thing because everyone kept asking me like, "Oh, that's not possible. That's not possible." I said, "Oh, well, here are the receipts." And I didn't know it wasn't possible. So I guess I just did it. And so now I teach email marketing and I teach how the heck I did that in the first place.
Mm. Boy, that's incredible. I love that. So we talk a lot about speak with people. We talk about communicating with people, not at them. So when it comes to email and being online with people, what do you think helps people stand out online and causes others to want to follow along, to be with them, to hear the story, to listen?
Yeah, I think it's just three really key components to anything, like to friendships online, to standing out in the room in person, etc. It's just three things. Number one, show a little bit of your personality, right?
Mm.
If you're just listening, you might not be able to see me, but I've got, Seinfeld in the background in sync. I'm wearing a Christmas hat, the Grinch sweater. Like Liz has personality. And you don't have to, you don't have to have Liz Wilcox personality to have personality, right? There are going to be certain people that are just attracted to you. Maybe you're a very like tactical thinker. Maybe, you're just really kind. Maybe you talk really loud and that's part of your person. Oh yeah, here comes Jeff. Take a step back before he starts talking. That's just who you are though, right? So share a little bit of that personality online. Don't be afraid of it. It's going to make you stand out, which we need to stand out, right? The world is noisy.
Mm.
The second thing is your vision for people, right? Especially online, if you're trying to create a business or if you're just trying to, establish more expertise for your in-person thing, sharing the vision that you have for your potential clients is so
Mm.
important, right? A lot of the content out there is a little self-serving and people are always thinking, what's in it for me, Jason? What's in it for me, Liz, right? Why do I need to listen to you? So sharing the vision you have for people is really important. For example, my vision is that you make money with email. I don't care about your podcast, your YouTube channel, your conversion rate of, this, that, and the other. All I care is that you have an email list that's monetized,
Mm.
right? That's my vision for you. So I'm constantly sharing that online. There's no guessing of what's in it for me. People know where, if they get on the Liz Wilcox bus, they know where they're going, right? And the last thing is your values.
Mm.
Now, hands up, I'm not telling you to spew your politics everywhere, but there are certain values you
Sure.
have that drive the way you do business, drive the way you speak with people, drive the way, you show up, drive a little bit of your personality and visions as well, right? And so sharing those values is definitely going to help you stand out. There's a reason why, Coca-Cola, Under Armour, name the Fortune 500 companies spend millions of dollars, on social justice campaigns and, making sure their commercials have diversity, et cetera, because they want you to know that that's their value. I mean, whether or not they're lying, I can't be the judge.
Right.
um, you, as someone who's, maybe you have a small team, or maybe it's just you trying to venture into this new thing, you do have values, right? Like, no one is thinking that you're just doing that for a sale, right? And so, what are the values you have? And how can you share them online in order to, like Jason said, stand out? For example, I come from a leadership background, I come from a background in education. So, of course, one of my values is inclusivity. They drilled that into for very first day of class. You got to teach everyone. It doesn't matter, right? And so, for me, I say things like, oh, my prices are the way they are. They're low compared to the market because I value inclusivity. I want, no matter what country you're in, no matter what your circumstances, I want you to be able to have this information, right? That, oh my gosh, that
Mm.
alone, forget the, crazy 90s themed website, like just value helps me stand out. So again, that's a little bit of personality, sharing your vision, and sharing a value or two is really going to help you stand out, not only in the inbox, which is my main expertise, but everywhere online and
Wow.
in your community, I would say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I love that. So let's go to the person who's, very, very brand new and they're like, okay, but who do I send this to? Like, how do they, I guess, how do they begin to build that community?
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways that you can start to build your email list and community. And I love that Jason's using those a little synonymously because I do too. I really believe you can build community from an email list.
Mm,
Your email list is it's such a more intimate channel. Like we go to our email to solve problems, right? Like where's that bill? Where's that email from John that he needed to talk to me about this or that. We go to our email to solve problems. And so having an email list and building the community there is going to help you serve your people so much more effectively than social media or anywhere else. But anyway, how do we start building the list? Well, there's a million and one ways you can do it. And I do suggest, spending a bit of time on Google, of course, after you listen to this amazing podcast and rate it, right? Um, because there's so many ways, and I want you to only work on list building in the way that feels good for you.
mm.
So, for example, I do list building. I love to talk. I love to spread my message. I do a lot of podcasts, spoiler alert, right? um, excuse me. I used to do a lot of guest blogging. So I was an RV travel blogger. And so I would ask RV travel sites, hey, do you have an article on this topic? Knowing full well that they didn't. Oh, well, I could write that for you, right? Because I feel that I'm very strong in writing. So, guest blogging is a great way to grow your exposure and grow your list. Also, a lot of people just within their network, right? If you have an office, say, hey, we've all been to Old Navy, right? And they're like, can I have your email? And you roll your eyes and you say, do I really have to give it to you? And they say, well, no. And they move on, but if you didn't know that, you can always decline. But that's another way. Like if you have an office, if you have, inside of your email signature, you can have a link for them to sign up for your community. Those are some other, simple, low effort ways. And the last thing I'll say is you can use whatever social media account you're most active right now. For example, I was born in the 80s, so I still love Facebook, right? And so with every business I started, I created a very simple what's called a landing page on an email service provider like ConvertKit. You've probably heard of MailChimp, your CRM, some people call it. And, it's just, hey, sign up for these kind of tips. For example, when I was starting this email marketing biz, I didn't really know what people wanted yet, but I knew that I had an expertise. So I said, hey, if you're interested in learning more about email, sign up here. That's what was on the landing page. Then I went over to Facebook and I said, hey, I'm just started this new business about email marketing. I'm really excited about it. If you've been, wanting to pick my brain for the last few years, this is that equivalent.
Yep.
And especially as you're listening, you're probably some sort of expert in your field. Maybe you have a home office or you go out, you're in a firm, you're a chiropractor or something like that. People likely want to pick your brain all the time. You're a
Mm.
professional. There's always somebody texting me. Maybe you can relate, calling me. Hey, just real quick, how do you fix this? Right? Like, I'm thinking of you, IT guys, right? Like, real quick, come over here. My TV's not working. And so you can say, this is going to be
So good.
the equivalent of being able to pick my brain each week, right? And just post that on your social media. Are you going to get a million and one signups? Of course not, but it's going to get you going so that you can, like Jason and I just suggested, go over to Google, find more list building activities that feel really good for you.
Mm.
I already said the last thing, but I'll say one more thing. If you've already got a YouTube channel or something like that, like a podcast, always just be promoting your email list, right? You see ads in podcasts, you see ads on YouTube. Put in an ad for your email list, for your landing page. Hey, Do you pick my brain? I'm not running those sessions right now. But you can join the email list. Every week I give you additional dot, 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 right? So make ads for yourself.
Sorry, I'm furiously writing notes as I'm trying to interview you as well, because this is such gold. I love those ideas. It is so good. Take us into the subject line for a second, right? So many people struggle with the subject line of an email. How do I, do I craft something? Do I go to Chat GPT? Like, what do I do to, write something that people will want to open up?
Yeah. So something I teach is the email staircase. So first you have a
Mm,
follower, you get them on your email list, you turn them into a friend. And when you have a list full of friends, you can have a list full of customers. So follower, friend, customer, email staircase. So in regards to the subject line, just write it like you're writing to a friend. You might have
mm,
50 people on your email list. Maybe you've got a couple hundred. And when you write your emails, you're thinking, oh, how can I make this valuable to 200 people? Well, no, like let's make it valuable for that one guy, right? Like that one guy that always emails us, that one guy that's always commenting on our blog, that one guy that I met at that Thanksgiving party and he just keeps texting me every 6 months asking me a question, right? That's who we're writing to because chances are there's a lot of one guys on your list, right?
mm,
There's a lot of Jasons out there. There's a lot of Justins, especially. Um, and so when you write the subject line, it comes after the body of the email. So write your email first and then think, what's the gist of this thing, right? Like, what am I really trying to say here? And what if I was just writing this for that one guy, right? Like, what would the subject be for Jason? If I was just writing Jason, I met him at a conference. He asked me this question about, oh, tell me more about that email staircase, right? And, I write an email really digging into like the components of that. What would the subject line be just for Jason? Maybe it would be, following up about the email staircase,
mm.
right? And I've met, that's a foundation of what I teach. So it would make sense for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And if it didn't, it would be like, what's the email staircase? And then boom, suddenly they're engaged, right? So really just writing from that friend perspective. It's not SEO. You've likely learned about SEO, right? It's not that, right? We're not writing, and Jason, you're going to love this. Y'all listen up. We're not writing like to an algorithm. Like we're writing for our
Mm,
people, right? We're writing like we want to speak with people, right? We want them to open it. We want them to hear our words. We want to connect with them. And so thinking of it less of, oh, this has got to be, the 5 tips for whatever. Like don't write to Google, like
mm.
write to your people. And that's how you're really going to speak with them.
Oh, that's so good. What do you suggest? Because we got a lot of business owners that listen, all different kind of businesses. They need to be sending emails out to their community, their people. What do you suggest when it comes to the actual design of it? Are you more on one side? It's like just keep it simple. Don't worry about images and all that kind of stuff. Or are you on the other side that's like fill it with images and links and all that kind of stuff?
Well, don't do the latter. Do not fill it with images and links. That's really not good for your deliverability. Meaning, I call them the internet gods. The internet gods, if they see too many images, too many links, it's gonna throw up a red flag.
Ah.
I don't watch football, but I know they'd be throwing up flags, right? So, and so that's the equivalent. If you put too much of that in your email, it's going to throw up a flag. It's going to make the internet gods, kind of look sideways at you. Like, why are you sending all these links? What's really going on here? And so, depending on again your personality, your brand, your business, I'm not against pictures. I'm not against links. Of course, we want people to click on the links in our emails. But we do want to be a little conservative and just focus on, maybe a few things. I'm also not in agreement with the one email, one rule. Or I'm sorry, one email, one job rule. A
Mm,
lot of email marketers will say like it's one email, one job, but I find, variety is the spice of life.
mm.
People might some people on your list might want to talk about A, others might want to learn about B. And so having both links might work for you. So think about what your people need. Again, going back to that chiropractor, some people might have hip problems, other people might, have plantar fasciitis. So you might want to put links to both of those, YouTube videos, right? Depending on who's reading it, they're going to click on the right thing. And then I'm going to think maybe I don't have either of one of those things. So I'm going to hit reply and say, hey, you got anything for this like weird, shoulder blade thing that's going on? Like make that one next, right? Because I know you're creating content, you care about me. And then you can just email me back and say, why don't you just come in for a session? That sounds terrible. Like I'll make the video, but you need to come in right now, right? So as far as like images and what the design should look like, you want to have some brand recognition. So if a banner at the top feels good to you, definitely do that, especially if you have some, you're established in some way in your community or online already. That might help with the brand recognition of like, oh, who's Dr. Steve? I click on it. Oh, yeah, I recognize that logo. That
Yeah.
does help. But if you don't have anything like that, or you're just lazy like me, I do text only emails.
Mm.
Sometimes I put in an image. If I say, oh, I went to this conference, I'll put a picture of myself at the conference. I also use GIFs, GIF. Some people say GIFs. Um, because there's a lot of brand recognition that's showing my face in action. It also, if you are doing YouTube or something, you're making videos, podcasts, having a GIF to click over might increase engagement, right? It's like, oh, that's a moving picture. People love to click on moving pictures. We won't get into the psychology, but just know like if you're open to making GIFs, or if you have a YouTube video and you can create a GIF from that, those will work really, really well. In
Interesting.
general, just keep your design simple. Don't overthink it.
Okay. Ooh, that's good. Do you, when it comes to selling in your emails, if you're sending a weekly email, so if your business is sending a weekly email to people, put some value in there, are you once a month, twice a month, every email? Are you adding hey, PS, by the way, there's this great resource you can pick up, or I've got a deal going on. Like how often do you do those type of, sales moments?
I sell in just about every single email.
Ah,
I firmly believe that products and services, they serve your people, right? The best way you can work with me is in X program, right? The best, just like I was joking about the chiropractor, right? Like, oh, I can make that video for you, but the best way I can help you is for you to actually come in,
mhm.
right? We need 20 minutes together. We need it, 30 minutes, right? And so our products, our services are for serving. So we need to be selling often, thinking back to that one guy. The one guy might be ready today, the other guy might be ready tomorrow.
Yep.
So why wouldn't we offer it both days? I'll give you a little story of buying behavior. My sister and I, when it comes to buying gas, like putting gas in your car, and this is so relatable, right? Like we have two very different behaviors. I drive an 89 Bronco. I need to get gas all the time. I will not be that lady on the side of the road. And also I'm single. Like I don't have anybody to call, right? Like my mama don't live nowhere near me. And so I'm not going to be that lady on the side of the road that has to get towed like if you've never seen an 89 Bronco, Google it. They're huge. I'm not going to get that thing towed because I ran out of gas. Like I won't be the laughing stock of that tow company that week, right? And so I get gas all the time. My sister, on the other hand, she drives a Jetta. She's got a boyfriend that lives with her. She's pushing it to the limit, like Kramer and Seinfeld. You guys remember that episode where he's like, I'm living on the edge. This is what a rush, right? He's pushing it, where that needle might break off in the car. That's my sister. But here's the thing, whether you're like me or you're my sister, that gas station is always open, right?
Mm,
It's always on the corner. It's 24/7. You can pull right up. You don't even have to go inside to buy anymore, right? That's how you should think of your emails. That's how you should think of your business, right?
mm.
Whether you need to buy today or it takes you 6 months, right? Like you don't know. Your customers are all different. People don't buy when you sell, they buy when they're ready. And so you being prepared for that is really why I want you to sell as much as you can. But that doesn't mean, every email is a sales email, right? We can
Right.
send out a letter about, this, that, or the other. And then I love what Jason mentioned earlier, like, P.S. When you're ready to work together, I have 2 openings. You can book a discovery call here. Whatever, like very kind of low pressure because again, you've got Liz and you've got Patricia on your email list, right? So Liz might be ready to pull up right now. Patricia, she's going to wait until she can't walk and she needs a wheelchair to come in your office, right? And so there's very 2 different kinds of people. So just a very kind of low pressure. P.S. When you're ready, here's how I can help you. Here's how we can work
Oh, I
together.
love that.
Here's what I offer, something like that in every email, like a footer. That's going to serve you really well and keep things really simple for you.
Oof. Oof. So good. Do you boost, like when you post on Facebook, or you talked earlier about, one of the ways, to build your list, do a post on Facebook. Do you ever boost those kind of ads, or is it you just try to be as organic as possible, add as much value as you can for people?
Yeah, for me and what I do, I believe organic is better. But if you have like a local office, ads, I'm not against ads for you, and that is a great way to list build, and it might be more low cost than trying to run an ad to get someone to like immediately book. You could, I love this idea of having an ad for some sort of, it's called the lead magnet, an opt-in, like something that says like, hey, if you give me your email address, I'm going to give you these, 5 tips on how to open your hips or whatever, right? And then within the emails, sending a consistent newsletter is going to help you, get that person into the office
Yeah.
and, or, get them on a call, whatever. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't recommend boosting posts. I'm not a Facebook ads expert, but I've never heard anyone say, yeah, that's a good idea.
Mm,
But I would recommend, maybe taking a course on Facebook ads or just
yeah.
hiring an agency because that can be a great way to build your list. And that agency will be able to really help you hone in on who's seeing the ad so you can actually convert on the back
Yeah.
end.
So you were just talking about, the lead magnet and the opt-in page and all of that kind of stuff. So this is one of those asking for a friend moment, when someone comes to you and is like, I have this friend. It's really me, but I'm going to say it's a friend. So it sounds a little bit more. So we did this giant campaign, I don't know, 3 weeks ago. We're in a series in the podcast called Lead with People, Not at Them. So it's 16 weeks, or not 16 weeks. It's 16 episodes, all on leadership, healthy leadership. And to go along with it, we put together an ebook with 38 different leadership principles from people from around the country. And we did the thing. So you go to speakwithpeople.com/leadwithpeople. You can download the ebook there. We use Kajabi for everything. I was watching a bunch of Kajabi videos, and one of the guys was like, hey, instead of when you do your opt-in, instead of just automatically having it pop up, to the PDF or whatever it is, don't do it automatic. Have a email sent to them and then let them download from the email. Is there any reason one is better than the other, or are you just like, doesn't matter, just get to the opt-in?
Yeah, I agree with Kajabi's advice because you want them to go to their inbox and open your email, right? That's
Gotcha.
going to help them open the next email. And within that first email, don't just, here's your thing,
Yeah.
introduce yourself.
Yeah.
And this is not saying send a long email. Mine's like 100 words. And this is
Okay.
where,
Yeah.
going back to the top of the hour when we talked about that personality, vision, and values, this is where you can inject a little bit of that right off the bat. Like, hey, here's those 38 principles you wanted, click here to download. Oh, by the way, my name's Jason. As
Mm.
much as I love Hootie and the Blowfish, right? That's a little bit of personality of
Yeah.
Jason. I love the idea of you learning how to communicate effectively even more.
Mm.
Suddenly, Jason has told you, hey, here's a little bit of my personality. I love Darius Rucker, you know, as well as he shared the vision he has for you. I love the idea of you communicating effectively.
I
Oh,
love
yep,
that.
I'm in the right place. You know, I feel
Yeah.
like no one understands me at all. I'm in the right place. And he might even go deeper. I love the
Yes.
idea of, business owners and entrepreneurs communicating effectively. Like whatever I say, as much as I love the 90s, I love the idea of you making money with email even more. And so
Oh,
sharing that, keeping it really simple, it's like
so
not only do
good.
I get this free thing, it's like, oh, now I didn't realize I got on the bus. Am I on the right bus? Oh, yeah. Oh, the 90s? I love that. Oh, Darius Rucker. Oh my gosh, don't get me started. And oh yeah, we're gonna learn how to speak with people, not at them. Okay, yes, that's exactly what I need as a leader. Nobody listens to me. This sounds great. Okay, I'll sit down, right? And so that's kind of the, behavior that's happening. So don't just get them to the email to get them to the email. Like take it a little step further, share a little bit of personality and vision you have so that, it's like, yeah, I want to open up the next email. I want to learn from Jason.
Mm, so good. Let me ask you one last question because I've already asked you so much. Your time is awesome and so valuable, but I could ask you a million more. But you talk a lot about leadership. We focus in a lot on leaders because we really believe, hey, if you've got influence, you're a leader. One of the best ways to steward your leadership is through your communication. But we're leaders. We still have feelings. So what happens? Give us some thoughts and advice when people hit the dreaded unsubscribe button. Like, how do you prepare yourself for, all of that damage? Or
Oh,
I'm
yeah, churn never feels good, right? No matter like if it's in your office, if it's like your email list, your, YouTube followers, like the unsubscribe. Just number one, realize like you're not alone. It feels emotional. And I think especially for email, especially if you come from a corporate background, right? It's like, email is this, sometimes it's like this annoying thing, right?
mm,
And so you're writing your emails from this perspective of, I don't want to be annoying. And then somebody unsubscribes and you think, oh, I'm that guy. I'm John from the office all over again. I'm just hang up my hat. And so it feels emotional. So, if it feels like, oh, a little bit of a sting, just let it.
yeah,
Then remember what I just said about like the bus. Email works so well. It's why, I can say, oh, for every dollar you get $40. Remember I mentioned that?
mm-hmm,
Because it's consent based, right?
mm,
And so I give you consent to send me that freebie, right? You share a little bit more. And oh, well, yeah, I sat down on Jason's bus, but now my kid's in the hospital. It's Christmas. I've got this other guy in my inbox spamming the crap out of me, which makes me hate email even more. I just don't have time right now to learn this. I'm just going to unsubscribe. They're just getting off the bus, right?
yeah,
Maybe they'll come back.
yeah,
Likely they will because what you teach is so, so important, right? And so when you can think about it from that point, instead of like, oh, what did I say wrong? Or, why, like, how can I fix this? You can't fix unsubscribes. They're going to happen
mm,
the same way people, in the city get on and off a bus. But what you can control is when you hit send, is this the best you could do? Right? Is this really, leaning into that personality, vision, and values? Are you really trying to speak with the people you can serve?
yep,
And when somebody gets off the bus, when they unsubscribe, it's like, well, I can't serve them right now. It's the same way as, when you know what's wrong with your cousin John. I don't know why I'm picking on John today. Sorry, John. Like if you would just listen, I could solve all of his problems, right? But John's never going to listen. So think of all those unsubscribes as your cousin John, who's just never going to get right, can't get right, like
yep,
maybe they'll come around one day, but for now, they're going to get off the bus. And that's good for you because it's going to leave room for the people that you can speak with and
yes.
you can take action with and you can serve.
Oof, I love that. I love that. Okay, before I let you go, a couple rapid fire questions. We're always asking leaders, three questions. We talk a lot about speakers speaking on here. Do you have a favorite speaker? Oh, you just love to listen to this person. They just fill your bucket.
Yeah, I actually, his name is Jeff Goins.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
a writer out of Nashville. I don't know if he does much speaking anymore. He's a ghostwriter now, but he has several best-selling books, and he's just really eloquent with his words.
Oh, he's so good. Do you have a favorite podcast? If you listen to podcasts, is there one that's, development or guilty pleasure that's like,
Yeah.
oh, this one just fills my...
So, I love Survivor, the show Survivor. And my favorite podcast right now is On Fire, the official Survivor podcast. It's hosted by Jeff Probst, of course, along with his producer and a castaway from a few seasons back. And I wouldn't say it's a guilty pleasure because I enjoy it wholeheartedly without shame. I love Survivor. If you guys aren't watching, like Wednesday nights, it's really still is the best show on television.
I love
I
it.
can't even watch it at night anymore because it's gotten so good. I woke up at 6 o'clock this morning to watch the last episode, and it took me like 2 hours to calm down because it was so intense. I was like, no, you guys, Julie's gotta go. You guys gotta come up with a plan.
Yes.
Anyway, that's my favorite podcast.
I love it. I love it. Last question. Is there a book that you think every leader should read? I mean, this is, bottom line, such a foundational book for your leadership.
Yeah, to be honest with you, like I'm not a big reader. I'm not a big content consumer. But again, I'll probably go with Real Artists Don't Starve, which is again by Jeff Goins. And it's just, it's not like heavily leadership based, but it really talks about how in the modern world, there's no reason we should be broke. And I think sometimes as leaders, we tend to put other people first. Of course, that's why we got into leadership. We love to serve, right? We want to get behind our people and push them forward. But sometimes that leaves us exhausted and oftentimes broke.
Right.
And so Jeff, again, very eloquently talks about how, real artists don't starve. And I
Oh, so good. Where can we send people to find you online? We can link it in the show notes, put it in our Facebook group, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so of course I'm an email marketer. I'd love for you to join my list. When you go directly to lizwilcox.com, there's a hot pink button in the corner. You can't miss it. It says free email swipes. You're going to get 3 newsletter examples to show you how to get people to click, how to get them to reply, and how to get people to buy. You're also going to get 52 subject lines because I know we talked about it, but I know it sucks.
Yeah.
So you're going to get a year full of those. And then, of course, you're also going to get a welcome sequence, which we didn't get into today. But, what happens when somebody downloads your freebie? What do you say after? You're going to get all of that already written for you, plug and play type of thing. LizWilcox.com, hot pink button.
I love it. And I did it, and it's your material and content is so valuable. And thank you for your generosity for being on the podcast and just sharing your wisdom with people. And it's just amazing.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what we all do with email.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us on another episode of the Speak with People podcast. We hope that you were encouraged. We hope that you were inspired and challenged to improve your communication skills. I want to thank you again for being a part of the Speak with People podcast community. Make sure you don't miss out on being a part of the Speak with People Facebook community group. Just head to Facebook, type in Speak with People, scroll down and join our community because every single day we're encouraging each other, we're helping each other to improve our communication skills. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next episode.